underestimate the power of PlayStation.
Beyond.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to Podcast Beyond, episode 323. I'm one of your hosts, Greg Miller, alongside the pride of Long Island, Colin Moriarty.
You know, I got to talk to you about Kyle.
Nope. Listen to the audio podcast if you're watching the video. And next to him, the Wiki Wonder Kid.
Greetings. Hi,
Jared Petty is back. You actually made it. We had to scrub your last launch.
Oh, yeah, my
you
throat
came in
was
here bleeding out the throat. You're like, I can still podcast. And I'm like, it was the show right before
You're
break.
bleeding
and I'm
about the throat.
God damn, I am not sitting down for an hour with you to talk games.
I was so disappointed, and it was exactly the right call to make because I was full of disease. And I infected several human beings, I'm pretty sure. So I'm a bad coworker.
You're like Plague Inc. too.
Yeah, totally. A terrible human being to be around.
Well, we're back. 2014, a brand new year.
Here I am.
So much PlayStation to talk about, so much video games to get into. You excited, Colin? Another year, another 365 days of Colin Moriarty?
Oh, it's great. Yeah, another 365 days of me.
Yeah? You excited? What are you looking forward to? How was your break, Colin? What'd you play? What'd you do?
I played only 2 games the entire break.
Woo!
I played, three games.
Yeah.
I played Zelda on 3DS. Fun game. Kind of a bit of a cop-out, I thought, but fun. Great
Too
game.
much of a link to the past?
It's a link to the past, like the same formula, the same setup. You know, intro 3 dungeons, Hyrule Castle, Dark World, non-linear dungeon set. Like, it's in the same world with the same music and the same characters. And it's like, all right, it's cool. It was great. I think it's a great game, but not this like game of the year caliber experience that I thought I was going to.
Okay, so you just feel like it's blown, that it's a great game that's been referred to as very great? Is that
it's
just
just
the argument?
blown way out of proportion, like about how good this game is. I thought, but it was fun. It's a great. I love Link to the Past. A lot of people who've known me for a long time know that when I got my start on GameFAQs, my Link to the Past FAQ is my most popular work that I ever wrote. People still email me about that all the time. It's a great FAQ. I wrote that. You know, if I do say so,
it's my.
I wrote it right after I graduated high school, and so I have I have a great place for that game in my heart. You know, and I love Link to the Past. I still think Majora's Mask is the best Zelda game by a mile. But
Ocarina of Time, son.
Ocarina of Time is a great game, but Majora's Mask had that imminence that none of the other games had. It just felt totally different.
It was the last time.
And that was not necessarily. Oh, sorry.
It was the last time Nintendo branched out and tried anything with Zelda. Yeah. And then, oh God, just keep giving him wood shields and wood swords. And he's got no fairy. God, just keep doing that.
I like Majora's Mask, but I feel like about Majora's Mask like you feel about Link Between Worlds. So it's like this is a game that gets way too much credit. It's really good. I mean, there aren't many bad Zelda games. I mean, it's a really good one, but it probably barely cracks my top 5 Zelda games.
Interesting. Yeah, my top 5, I think I did this on Twitter. My top 5 Zelda games would be Majora's Mask, Link to the Past, the original.
Wow. And
then you'd have to go somewhere like in the, I don't know, like you might want to bring Wind Waker in at this point. And you might even want to bring Zelda 2 in, which is probably
Ocarina of Time.
Which is probably the most underrated Zelda game. No Ocarina of Time. That game was really special. It's special the same way Mario 64 was special, and that like it's new, it's different, you know. But like just like I honestly think Mario Sunshine is a much better game than Mario 64.
Wow.
I so too think that Majora's Mask is a better game than Ocarina because they were able to take that formula and fuck with it a little bit.
How can you be so wrong about so many things, Colin? Although
I guess I get that question.
No, you're right about Zelda 2 though, because Jose Otero and I were talking this morning about Zelda 2, and thinking about his. We were talking about the best kind of combat in Zelda. One of the things I love about Zelda 2 is I think it has the best combat. I really do.
Yeah, it does.
That shield mechanic. You only have 5 or 6 maneuvers available to you, but the game is really intricately designed so that every enemy you fight, those 5 or 6 mechanics are approached in a different way.
Yeah.
And I love that. Whereupon he loves Wind Waker's combat, thinks it's the best for the opposite reason. You have so many options available to you. And he loved the fact that you could do so many different things, approach problems so many different ways. I thought it was an interesting crossing of ideas there. But no, I'm with you. Zelda 2 it's not the best Zelda game, but it's my favorite Zelda game.
Yeah, Zelda 2 is a great game. Yeah. Funny story about Zelda 2 real quick before we actually talk about PlayStation games.
I wasn't even trying to move
Before we even talk about PlayStation games.
Before we even talk about what?
PlayStation games. PlayStation? PlayStation.
Don't rub Goldie's mic.
When I was
Show
in college, I moved in with a guy that I didn't know, like my third year there, named Doug Dorble.
And he's a great name.
And he's a good friend of mine. I was in his wedding party later. We became really good friends. And I came in, I was wearing my Yankee hat. He had a Red Sox hat on. We had like this kind of contentious intro, and then we ended up being really good friends.
I like that team.
But on an emulator, he was playing Zelda 2 and realized when I moved in that he was using my FAQ for that game.
He realized it?
Yeah, like as I was moving in, he was playing Zelda 2 and using my FAQ without knowing that.
Oh, that's bizarre.
I have some great ASCII maps for Zelda 2.
Okay, first off, what Wuss uses like a fact for Zelda 2?
Well,
you're breaking the spirit.
I can understand that game being a little daunting for people that didn't grow up at the time.
Well, like,
it's ridiculously arcane. It's full of all kinds of hidden things that are in places that you never find unless you just want to wander around for hours. Finding that hidden town, if you forget where it is, there at the end. I forget the name of the hidden town. But,
I don't remember.
Hidden town, the old hidden town.
Yeah, you have to knock down trees with a hammer, and if you get mixed up and go to the wrong forest, you just wander around knocking trees down with a hammer for half an hour.
Okay.
Zelda 2.
Jared, what did you play over break?
I played a few things over break. I played a lot of Spelunky.
Yes, Spelunky's going around. Everybody's got the bug.
Well, I started playing Spelunky back on PC before they did the remake.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, and was really bad at it. Scott Sharkey at 1UP turned me onto it, and then picked it back up on Xbox and just played. And now the Vita version is just so good. I finally got around to downloading.
Goldfarb's obsessed with it too. He tweets every night that he just made it to the boss or whatever, and he died, and then he's back, and then it's. I played it. I had fun, but I'm not even like. No, I'm not into it like that. Mm-hmm. I got too many other dumb obsessions to be obsessed with.
Well, I like roguelikes, and Spelunky's a neat action roguelike. I enjoy the genre in general. I still play Angband and really like that. So Spelunky's much more friendly than that, at least.
Sure.
And really enjoy it. What about you, Greg? What'd you play over the holiday?
I played a lot of Assassin's Creed, and then I played a lot in short bursts. I was traveling a lot. Here's something I want to give a good old pat on the back for that old remote play. I was in Seattle playing Assassin's Creed to my console in San Francisco and had no problem.
Really?
Ran just like it runs. I mean, I was on really good Wi-Fi in both places.
You were on Sucker Punch's elite Wi-Fi.
Exactly. I was up there. I was doing beta tests and mocap for the Zeke level they're adding as DLC.
That'd be awesome if you were Zeke.
I'm young Zeke. Yeah, but it ran great for me. And so I played it in short bursts, and then when I came home one weekend and played it in a giant burst, and then pulled back to see how big the map was again and realized how much work I had ahead of me. And I was like, well, I'll try DC Universe Online. And that was like 50 hours of in-game time, and then I was gone. And then I'm back here.
Tell us about your DC Universe Online hero.
Everything's going great. Taylor Swift's still looking good. We're at CR rating 85. We're very excited. I can start. I got to Gotham Wastelands. I'm down there. I'm getting everything. I'm getting better armor, better gear. I need to get to CRD 6, Colin, of course, so I can start going on the tier 5 raids.
Naturally.
Get working on the tier 5 gear and stuff.
This fucking game.
Yeah, you love it.
I something it. That's all I've seen you play the last since I got back.
Yeah, when you came back, I was already done. I mean, like I'm obsessively playing it again, like bleeding out the eyes, getting exobytes, exobits.
I'd like to go back. I'd like to go back to Taylor Swift for a minute.
Yeah,
are you playing Taylor Swift?
Of course.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
of course.
From day one.
The answer.
Day one.
Okay,
day one, minute one. I registered that name.
What are
I
the
took
powers
the day
of
off work?
What are the powers of Taylor Swift?
She's a gadget. She's mentored by Superman. She's gadget powers, and then she flies.
She's mentored by Superman?
Yeah, that's right.
Oh, but Superman's a gadget guy. At least pre-crisis Superman, all kinds of. Is he pre-crisis or post-crisis?
It's
Superman?
post-crisis Superman.
Oh, well then he's not all
Pre-New 52.
gadgety.
Well, no, you don't need to do that though.
Oh,
it's just, I mean, like what you're breaking down there, as far as like, it doesn't matter. Don't worry.
Why would he mentor? Like that doesn't make any
Because
sense.
I wanted the Superman gear. I knew my armor would have, because that's how the game
giant
works.
key with Batman hidden inside it. Superman. That Superman I could see mentoring gadgets, but like modern.
It's not about. He's not giving you advice on how to use your gadgets.
Well, then what kind of mentor is he?
He's telling you where to go and help people.
This game sounds like. I'm sorry, I can't touch this. This does not make any sense to me
You're
at all.
welcome to go be a gadget mentored by Batman.
It's a total. Just in what I've observed from this game, when I've observed quite.
I was gonna say heads up. How many hours do you think you've observed as you walk in and out of a room?
Oh, just even when you played it throughout the entire football weekend next to the fucking TV. You had two 40-something inch screen TVs next to each other. So I'm looking over there. Terrible cutscenes going on where guys are like. I don't hear the voice acting, but I guess there's some sort of story going on here.
They emote very
ridiculous conversations going on in the chat box.
Yeah.
That don't make any sense.
Yeah.
This game is something else.
Actually, that kind of sounds like working here. Just ridiculous conversations that don't make sense and people emoting.
That's why I just go right in the conference room now.
One of my favorite things, Colin, from the break was him walking into the room and just reading aloud the chat box. L4G, troll 4 gates. You're like, what the fuck does that mean?
Just a quick shout out before we get into the Roper Report and all these things. 2 other games I played. One I can't talk too much about. I played a lot of Danganronpa, which is very good on PS Vita, and that comes out in February. We'll have a preview of that soon. But a game you can buy right now is Mutant Mudds Deluxe.
Oh, yeah.
And this game is very, very good.
Yeah, it's fun.
If you're an old school gamer. If you're not an old school gamer, don't even go anywhere near it.
Are we talking old school? What kind of gamer? Like
it's a action side-scrolling action platformer, but it's like a collectathon. And like what's really cool is that like there are all these gems that you you find in the environment that you have to collect all of them, and you can go through the stage without collecting any of them, but the whole kind of obsessiveness of getting all 100 in every stage kind of comes in. And the game's doesn't have a great variety, and it's not the greatest game in the world, but it's just really, really fun. And I think that old school game was really like, you can buy it, I think, for $10 cross-buy on PS3 and Vita.
Now, are we talking like DuckTales gems where they're invisible and hidden in corners?
No,
or can you actually see them?
You can see them. They're not really that hidden. And what's really cool is that you jump like into the foreground and then into the background.
Yeah, that was really cool when I played it. I really liked that.
Like Guardian Heroes style?
Yeah, in a way. Like it's a little more emphasized, I would say, in the sense that it's being, I think, trying to be a little more dramatic and pixely. I think it's doing it more for the effect of how it looks.
Okay.
But yeah, I think you will enjoy these games if you are an old school gamer. So I'm gonna give a shout out to that game because it's been on Wii U and 3DS, I think, for quite some time.
Do the pixels get all chunky when it jumps into the foreground, like an old raster graphic?
Yeah, like you are really big when you're in the foreground.
Oh, I like that.
So like it scales. It's not just like you're jumping in and then it like resets it, so it's like it looks normal. You are like blocking everything in the background.
Oh, that's kind of cool.
Yeah, it's an interesting game, and I spent a lot of time with that game.
I gotta play that.
Well, good.
Okay.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is Podcast Beyond, IGN's PlayStation podcast, the #1 PlayStation podcast on the internet. Let's begin the show with what is and forever will be the Roper Report. Time for some news.
There are 9 items on the list.
9 items.
So let's get into it, Greg.
Let's do it.
Number 1, today at CES, Sony revealed that PlayStation 4 sold to customers 4.2 million consoles between November 15th and December 28th. Those sales come from North America, Central and South America, Europe, and select other territories. PS4 has yet to launch in its home territory of Japan.
That's coming up.
When I was coming in, they also revealed, and I wrote the story real quick before I came in, 9.7 million games sold during that time, 2.3 per console.
Nice.
So there you go. Not bad.
To put this number in perspective, this is like a quarter of what the Wii U's done, right?
Yes, this is a quarter of what we used. No, I tweeted out. So what's interesting is that
I just wanted to see how your brain would process that.
So I think we know in the same time period or similar time period, give or take a few days, that Xbox One sold 3 million. And what I thought was more interesting was that Wii U, I think we have 3.9 million units of Wii U by the end of September, and we kind of extrapolated based on a range of data that it's more around like 4.2 or 4.3 million through November.
Yeah.
Which means that PS4 sold in about 6 weeks what Wii U sold in over a year, which is insane, especially because the console is more expensive. It has, I would assume, fewer games available that are compelling exclusives.
Yeah.
Because Wii U had Zombie U, and which I know you didn't like, but a lot of people.
Yeah,
a
lot of people had a
game,
great time.
and
a lot of people have bad
Mario
taste in
and
games.
stuff
Can't
like
help
that.
it.
So I thought that was really interesting. PS4 is about to probably outsell the Vita soon too. So yeah, comparatively, for context, yeah, that's where it sits right now. It's going to pass the Wii U, I think, in lifetime sales probably in the next month. We'll see. Number 2. Today at CES, Sony also revealed PlayStation Now, a significant push forward for the PlayStation brand. Now is basically what they bought Gaikai for $380 million in 2012 and will allow the playing of PlayStation 3 games on PS4 and PS Vita, as well as TVs, smartphones, and tablets. Details are scarce right now, but what we know is this. It will be a subscription service. Those who don't want to subscribe can rent games, and now will support trophies and online multiplayer. The beta begins in late January, and the service will roll out this summer.
Okay, I got a question about that right away. And I'm sure this is brought up many, many times there, but where's the bandwidth going to come from?
The cloud.
Well, yeah, I understand the cloud. Where's the infrastructure to make this work going to come from?
The cloud.
I love the idea. I want this to happen, but is there enough out there to do this? I mean, streaming games, it's a lot of data back and forth.
I don't know. It's a good question. It's a fair question. It's probably going to cost you whatever this is. My assumption is that I have 2 assumptions that might answer this question. Right, this might be tied into PlayStation Plus, in which they increase the price of PlayStation Plus.
Never.
That's not going to happen,
No.
right? So this will be a separate subscription.
Not never, but not this time.
That might cost $20 or more a month, maybe. I don't know. I'm just putting that number out there. Don't quote me on that. And if so, then this pays for at least the server side problems that you're talking about. The major issue that you're talking about is more infrastructure-based problems of data streaming. But that also assumes that people aren't already using a ton of data on, when you stream a television show or something like that. Obviously, there's not a lot of back and forth pinging going on when you're doing that, but how many people are really going to use this that it's going to really flex the infrastructure of
I will use enough to screw it up for everyone. If they make this work, the idea of being able to go to back catalogs on a fairly hardware agnostic system, this is dreams come true. This is what I want to happen. I also I believe it's possible technologically. I'm just worried about infrastructure. I really am. I wonder if how long it's going to be before this becomes an unhiccupy service.
Yeah, that's the big question. Is how? Yeah, I mean, even like now, what I was talking about at the beginning of the show, right? Like my remote play experience was fantastic, but there's people who are like, I'm 50 miles away from my house and I can't get it to work. And I mean, there are all these different issues as far as what you're doing. We just did a conversation about it, Colin and I. And I mean, for me, the interesting thing is that you're eliminating the middleman, right? Like right now with the Vita to PS4, right, we're still having to beam to something else to get to something else. Whereas now we're beaming back and forth from point A to point B.
Yeah.
You'd hope that would be able, as long as you're on a good Wi-Fi connection, you're okay.
Yeah,
but who
it's
the hell
the
knows?
Wi-Fi connection that concerns me, or not the Wi-Fi. It's the connection between wherever you're beaming. It's from Sony to there that worries me.
Yeah.
Is that what they don't have control over? I mean, Sony's
Right.
not going to build us a new internet that's better and faster. And I understand we move all kinds of data along our internet. It's always expanding. But yeah, I know it's a shock to everyone. But I do have some concerns about how long it'll be before this is a stable service. I absolutely believe it's going to happen.
Yeah.
And I am thrilled. How do you guys feel about it?
It's exciting.
It's great.
Yeah, it seems really cool. Like we're lucky enough to have played a lot of PlayStation 3 stuff, but if it can get The Last of Us in more people's hands, I mean, if you can get Journey in more people's hands, it sounds like a great idea, especially for all these people who just bought PlayStation 4s who didn't have PS3s or didn't use their PS3 that much, right? Like, this is an awesome revenue-generating service for Sony.
And I love that they're getting revenue. I also love the custodianship angle of this. This opens doors for I love Sony, but this opens doors for everybody sooner or later to create the kind of content services where we can go back and find. I'm so worried about access to the classics. Not just what we consider classics, but 20 years from now, the video game industry doesn't always do a very good job of preserving the best of its history.
Right.
And this is early Hollywood. This is Charlie Chaplin era right
Yeah.
now. We're still
Yeah.
so early on. Someday it's going to be great for people to be able to go back and touch this stuff, and this may be the best way to make that happen. That's what really excites me is the long-term prospect. So I don't really care if it works next year, but I want it to work in 10 so that I can go back to the PS3, the PS2, the PS1, and share these wonderful experiences and say, this is where we came from.
Yeah. That'll be the exciting thing, is iterating on it.
Sharing those exciting PS1 classics like Pandemonium and Devil Dice, whatever.
Shop Deluxe.
Ooh, Devil Dice. That's some good stuff right there.
I agree with everything you said. It was very well put. I think that this is a game changer. What a lot of people have been saying online and even in the office was, how does Sony get it so much now? Like what happened over there? Like
PS3, man, they got schooled and they brought in new people like
really
Adam
learning.
Boys and
Yeah,
stuff.
they're
and
really learning.
Shane and everybody else. All the people they brought in were our contemporaries, right? The people who were either with us in this this side of the industry and covering Sony's feelings, or at another company seeing Sony flounder, right? And so Sony knows they had to, or PlayStation, the brand, knew that needed to change, and it brought in all these people who are down for change.
Right, and I think that that's true, and I think that people that had PlayStation 3 throughout its history, throughout its years on the market, like you and I had been covering it, know that PS3 got stronger and stronger and stronger and stronger, and that the library was always there, even from the beginning with Fall of Man and MotorStorm and all these games, all the way through to The Last of Us. They're great games there, but the perception issue was overwhelmingly negative for PS3. PlayStation Network crashing didn't help, all these kinds of things. But they're slowly, with moves like this, starting to get that they need to democratize their brand more and get it away from PS4 and PS Vita. But by doing that, can actually support PS4 and PS Vita. Because what I see here is someone has a Bravia TV, right, and they're playing PS3 games. And I assume that this is going to work with the PlayStation Network somehow and give you access to what's already on PSN, because all the games that they're testing at CES are on PSN digitally.
And they're talking about you getting trophies. Like, guess what? Even if you have a TV and you set this up, you're getting a PlayStation Network account. I think I know what you're driving at. Go ahead.
So this will all tie in, and what we might find is that a guy, your friend just plays The Last of Us on the TV, and he's like, this is really great. This might sell a PS4 for him, because he's like, well, I can't play this next Naughty Dog game, this next great-looking Infamous or whatever game on PS3, so this drives sales. And I think for Vita, it's even more essential, because just like Vita will be driven a little bit by PS4's remote play, if people are playing these games with some sort of control solution on a touchscreen, then the Vita might be more compelling to them, because they might be like, you know what, fuck it, like, I'm just going to go buy a Vita, this is awesome. And so, like, I can play these old games with dual analog sticks and buttons. So.
It's the same thing we talked about with PlayStation 4, right? That was the Trojan horsing the Vita into your life. You buy a PlayStation 4, you want to play Call of Duty multiplayer, you buy PlayStation Plus. All of a sudden, all these Vita games are stacking up, right? And you're like, well, If I buy a Vita right now on this Black Friday sale, I'm going to have 7 games already that I've already, saved or done. I might as well. Yeah. And you make that jump. And it's the same thing here, right? You get this, you only play Last of Us. And all of a sudden you're like, man, Naughty Dog's awesome. And I do have these trophies and a couple of friends. That's really cool. Why don't I try? Why don't I jump and get a PlayStation 4?
This kind of speculation, there's always a degree of irresponsibility to it. But I do want to ask
that's all the show is.
Oh, no, not what you guys said. What you guys said makes perfect sense. What I want to ask, I totally agree. But this speculative question, I read your things I want to see in 2014, or hopes thing we did this week, Colin. What are the odds for Vita at this point, if you were going to give it a percentage?
They're not good. The
odds for what, surviving? Or?
Yeah, enduring.
It will
I don't think it's going anywhere.
No, I don't think it's going to go anywhere either. I think it has a few years at least left in it, but I think it's already in that mid to late PSP life cycle era where it's getting role-playing games and Japanese games. Mm-hmm. And so this small niche of people will support it. Now, I can tell you that Vita's got games coming that no one knows about yet, and that, there are a lot of Vita games coming in 2014 that will amount to a great library, actually, because I'm working on a piece now where it's like I went through all the Vita games that are coming out this year.
Yeah.
And there's like a lot of them. And I narrowed it down to 30, and there are still Vita games that are out there in the ether that I had to leave off the list that we don't know about yet, that we haven't learned about yet, that might, get pushed back and forth. Games as big as Borderlands 2, but as small as, something like, like Hyperdimension Neptunia PP, or like all these different kind of, the Persona 4 dancing game. Like all these weird games are going to come out. A lot of Japanese support, and Vita's picking up in Japan quite considerably. It's selling like between 50 and 75 million, 1,000 units per week.
Yeah.
Which is huge.
That's good news for us.
So I think that Vita's going to be fine, but it's not going to be PSP. It's not ever going to compete with 3DS, and we have to keep our expectations realistic that this thing might sell ultimately 12 to 15 million units or something, but that the attach rate on Vita is so high, it's extraordinarily high.
Yeah.
That it's like a dozen games or something like that per Vita, which is insane.
I easily own that on mine. Yeah, totally.
So they're making money on the back end, and this is kind of what I'm saying, is that this is smart, because this kind of move with PlayStation Now suggests a sort of cannibalization of their hardware, but actually it's really cleverly supports the hardware.
Yeah.
And most of the money they're really making is in the revenue garnered from first-party games and third-party licenses.
It's another revenue stream to keep them going to where they can keep taking chances for Vita.
Very cool, guys.
This is what we're talking about at, I always talk about at, not last E3, or the Wonder Book E3, right, where they snuck in that PlayStation Mobile thing. And everybody's like, why are they talking about PlayStation Mobile? And I'm like, that's the future of their business, right? This is them moving forward with that. Like, this is totally that thing of, at any point, think about it, they're to the point now, they're working out right now the baby infrastructure, so that one day when they do have to say, fuck it, we're out of the console market, everything's on the this PlayStation Now, it's all there, you know what I mean? Like, that's how they go forward. And when Naughty Dog can just make you a game that'll be on your TV, that's why they have all these first party studios, more than anybody else.
Yep. It's smart. Yep. And I'm interested to see how this evolves, and I'm interested if we get bad news about it, like we usually do with announcements like this. Such as the Vita memory card.
Ugh.
Number 3. Ubisoft has revealed that Far Cry: The Wild Expedition will be coming to PS3 as well as Xbox 360 and PC on February 11th in North America. The Wild Expedition is a compilation that combines Far Cry, Far Cry 2, Far Cry 3, and Far Cry Blood Dragon. Will cost $39.99. That's cool. I liked Far Cry 2. I didn't play too much of it. I never played the original. Far Cry 3 was awesome.
Far Cry 3 was amazing,
yeah. So it's a good way for people to get in on that. I know people, I think Mitch specifically lives and dies by that series. So.
He does. Now he can just play Assassin's Creed, though.
Number 4. Sega has officially revealed its next Alien game. It's called Alien Isolation, and it will come to PS4, PS3, Xbox One, Xbox 360, and PC later this year. Isolation is under development at Creative Assembly and will heavily borrow from Ridley Scott's 1979 original movie. That's good news.
Yeah.
We'll see.
I just love how cautious the internet is about this today. Granted, it was immediately overshadowed by this PlayStation stuff, but a lot of people were just like, believe when I see it.
People have reason to be cautious after what happened last time, but I like the idea of this. Going way back in time, there was the first Alien game that I know about was a Commodore 64 title. There was an Atari one too. I don't know which one came first, actually. Anyway, there's this Commodore 64 one, and it's like a horror strategy game. Really simple, but the whole thing was built around the fact that you couldn't really fight the alien, and that there was tremendous tension, and it did this wonderful thing where it randomized which character had which characteristics. It randomized who the android was. It randomized who was going to freak out.
Yeah.
And it was, I heard about this first through 1UP and went and grabbed an emulator and played it. No. And it was, it's amazing. It's hard as all, but it's amazing because it's tense. This is on a little blocky screen with 16 colors and a terrible resolution. And by making it a horror game and making you feel helpless, they made this little C64 game frightening. To take that kind of gameplay design, modernize it, and make it beautiful, atmospheric, and frightening, please give me that. Please give me that. So I want this. I love what I hear him saying. It could turn out to be a grease fire.
Yeah.
But, man, I'm excited about it.
Right now they're saying all the right things.
Yeah. Well, Gearbox has nothing to do with it, so.
Yeah.
So, and it's the Gearbox's fault that happened, through the last Alien game.
Yeah.
So, it's, as long as they're not involved with it and they're focusing on what they care about, which is Borderlands, then... we assume, I don't even know what they're working on actually, but Borderlands 3, I would assume. I guess.
You assume so, yeah.
There are not enough good horror games, and Alien fundamentally is a haunted house story.
Where you
can't get out of the house. And that's
where the outside of the house is space and kills you.
Yeah, exactly, and that's what makes it brilliant. That's what makes that movie so good.
Yeah, I agree. It is one of the greats, as far as I know. I'm not too up on movies, as we talked about before.
You don't watch every movie.
No,
you're still missing a few.
You miss some every now and then.
Oh, I don't. I'm not too much of a movie guy.
Oh, okay.
Recently, I've seen everything I've wanted to see, probably from the 80s, mid 70s, 80s, 90s. But there was a time when I'm like, I don't want to do this anymore. It's too expensive.
I relate. I don't watch TV.
Oh yeah, see, I watch a lot of serials on TV. Oh yeah, Downton Abbey.
Your stories?
I like my stories. Before I get going, because I forgot to put it on here, didn't Turtle Rock also? Right, that's the studio's name, right? Am I not making that up?
They were talking about Turtle Rock today.
Is that a studio or a Zelda dungeon?
No, yeah, Turtle Rock is the studio that is that right? That made that Left 4 Dead? Isn't that what they're called?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
You're right. You're nailing it. You're doing it.
They announced
Evolve.
They announced a new game. Yeah.
Yeah. Evolve.
So you can go to Game Informer. That they'll have the information on that. But that cover looks fucking awesome. Blood red and like all. Yeah.
How many play? Is it a team of 4 versus a monster, and the monster gets better every time you kill it, and so that it goes from being, I don't even know. Is that what it was?
I didn't read it.
I'll look up the story.
Yeah.
I don't know what you just said, but I'm intrigued now.
I don't know what the fuck you just said, little man.
That was a THQ game, I think, that, by the way, that was purchased for like $10 million just to have the rights to it. So they must have saw something that was pretty cool. Number 5. Interestingly, Metal Gear Solid 5 has received a, quote, sexual violence, end quote, rating from the ESRB. Only the second game to receive the rating.
Ooh.
The other game was Anna Mundi, Dark Alchemist, a PC game released in 2006. The ESRB explanation reveals that, quote, the game includes an audio file in which a female character is sexually assaulted by male characters. While there is no visual depiction, sounds of ripped clothing and struggle can be heard, end quote.
Interesting.
Such a scene would usually receive ESRB's AO adults only tag, but is saved from that rating due to its implying of sexual violence and not actually showing it. I thought that was interesting and totally out of left field.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just wanted to, I don't know if there's much really to talk about there, but I saw that story. I was like, that's a little.
It's going to depend on how they engage it.
Exactly. Yeah, that's what it's all about, right?
Yeah, because nothing's off bounds or out of bounds, for storytelling.
Fiction.
But for fiction, of course. It's about.
I know.
It's not even about taste. It's about like how is it important?
What's your
or
vision?
You're just doing it.
Yeah.
And how you approach it isn't always as important as, or pardon me, the graphic nature of how you approach something isn't necessarily as important as what you're saying with it. I mean, Tomb Raider gets all weird and rapey at one point, and it's
no rapey, just gets weird.
Well, you know what I'm talking about, but I don't appreciate the implication that Laura's transformation takes place because a man does something to her.
Yeah.
That bugged me a lot more than what the graphicness of the scene might have been or might not have been, just because of the message it gave. If this is used to promote the story in a good way, it's going to be great. If it doesn't, it could be really infuriating. Who knows?
Yeah, I mean, I think that we've talked about this before with The Last of Us, but the scene with David and Ellie when they're in the burning diner, when there's like really...
Spoilers.
Yeah, spoilers. When there's almost a sexual implication with what he's doing, right?
Right. The story I always tell. Oh, I'm sorry. You make your point. The story I always tell, right, is that I was playing. You'd given me the copy of The Last of Us, so we're the weekend before it's out, but I haven't played it yet. And Nolan North was coming through for Deadpool, and Caleb's like, "Can I spoil something for you?" And he's like, "He's David in the game. You totally need to talk to him." I'm like, "All right, tell me everything about David." And Caleb ran me through everything that he attacks Ellie, does all this stuff, yada yada yada. Never mentioned any kind of sexual assault. And then when I was interviewing Nolan about it, Nolan came and he's like, "Oh yeah, they came to me and like, how would you want?" This is up on IGN. I'll embed it in the article. He's like, Naughty Dog was like, well, how would you want to play this character? And when they broke it down for him and he played it, when he's rehearsing it and doing it, he knows David's motivation is to rape Ellie. That is very clear in his head as a character. You know what I mean? And so that was one of those things. Playing through it, I don't know if I would have gone that way. Because at the end, right, Ellie gets cradled by Joel and she's like heaving and sobbing. And he's like, he tried. And like, he tried to kill you, right? At least that's what I would have read the scene as if I didn't have the backstory of how Nolan North knew his character and how he played it and how it was pitched to him.
But I'm glad you say that, because The Last of Us at least has the approaches that, it's very self-aware. You're talking to an actor who's got something in their head. I think what might frighten some people about Metal Gear in this is a game that's already drawn some attention for the sexualization of female characters.
Right.
That doesn't exactly instill confidence that other sexual subject matter is going to be treated with good writing, thought, care. Obviously, we don't have any right to point barrels at him yet and say, hey, you've done something wrong here. I do think that's why people are nervous. It's not exactly like they've given us a lot of reason to think that they handle sexual subject matter with complexity in most Metal Gear games. And that's kind of what worries me.
Yeah, that's true. I guess the point I'm trying to make just in general by taking something like that has a great narrative like The Last of Us is that had served a purpose, and it wasn't even about taste or how it was presented. It just served a purpose to bring Ellie along on her own journey or whatever, that this was something that happened. And this is something, frankly, like that kind of stuff is, it's like The Road, right? Like, they don't implicitly talk about it too much in the book, but I was watching the movie with my girlfriend this past weekend because she had never seen it or even read the book, and that's one of my favorite books.
I thought you hadn't seen the movie either. Did you see the movie?
No, I saw the movie. Yeah, I had seen it.
Oh, I'm sorry.
And it's okay, but they do the scene where the wife is like,
Charlize Theron.
Yeah, Charlize Theron is like, they're gonna rape me and they're gonna rape my child and they're gonna kill us, and it's like, Jesus Christ, like that's like, she just says it, right?
Yeah.
And like, it's like very almost nonchalant. But when you think about that world, that post-apocalyptic, horrible world where there's nothing left, there's just complete desolation, like, that's a real threat for everyone, and that's horrifying. And
even Book of Eli deals with it a little bit. I mean, just the roving gangs of horrible people on the road.
It's a real threat in contemporary life, how much more so when people can openly carry weapons.
Right, exactly.
I mean, you and I, we're men, we're much less likely to be exposed to sexual violence, but it's such a real thing.
You and I.
Oh, well,
I'll push
not
Colin.
going down that road. But I mean, this is it's a very real part of life now, and in a world where people could openly bear weapons and there were very few legal repercussions, I can't even imagine what it must have been like. Think about, you're a historian, you know what happened after ancient cities were sacked.
Yeah, of course, and I appreciated that Cormac McCarthy in that interpretation of The Road, because it doesn't go so far into it in the book, was able to portray the darkness, the real direness of that situation. And that was what I loved about The Last of Us, was there was always this implication, even though it was never said, that you're playing as a young girl who can't really defend herself in this fucking horrible situation, and they dared to kind of insinuate that, this could happen to her, and that it served a purpose.
Yeah.
And so that's what I'm saying, is that there's no out of bounds with that if you do it for a reason. It's not, and like, so it's not about taste or preference. It's just about what serves the story. And in The Last of Us and in The Road, that served the story. And so we'll see, like you said, in Metal Gear, it probably maybe won't serve the story. But
I don't want to put words in Konami's mouth here.
Yep.
It could turn out great. But I think people are nervous because of the other sexual treatment.
For sure. And it's daring subject matter that's difficult to tread on regardless, and is very controversial regardless. But fiction's fiction, and hard issues are just as important to deal with, I think, as the run and gun, bloody, gory bullshit.
Sure.
Every day.
Here.
Hey, you want some Evolve information?
Sure.
I was right. This is from the IGN news story. As it's only available on next-gen systems, Evolve is promising to offer a new kind of multiplayer experience. Clearly taking inspiration from its previous project, Left 4 Dead, Evolve is a sci-fi multiplayer-focused shooter that will pit a four-player crew of alien hunters against a separate player-controlled monster that increases in strength over a series of matches. So theoretically, in the beginning, you're beating the hell out of the monster, and then by the end, you're running from the monster, which sounds cool.
That does sound cool. Number 6.
Plus, we never got Left 4 Dead on PlayStation. Which sucks.
Yeah, I thought for sure that would happen. Number 6. 2K has confirmed that its MLB baseball series will no longer proceed, as the company hasn't renewed its license with Major League Baseball. This means that Sony's exclusive MLB The Show franchise in development yearly at Sony San Diego is now the only officially licensed baseball game, making MLB a PlayStation 3, PlayStation 4, and PlayStation Vita exclusive moving forward. That will probably only exist for, I assume, a year. You have to imagine someone else is going to get involved in that. But that's interesting, because if you're a baseball fan and you want realistic MLB baseball, you're going to have to buy a PlayStation.
Yeah. And those games sell.
They sell very well.
Yeah.
They sell better on PS3 alone than MLB sold on all the platforms alone.
I really hope somebody picks that up quick because I hate what monopolistic licensing does to NFL games. I mean, they're games, but the fact that there's no competition and hasn't been for years. Ugh.
Yeah, but that's different because Sony didn't pick up the MLB license as an exclusive. It's now just de facto the only company doing it.
I know. I just
EA
want it.
did that.
I totally agree with you. This is a different situation. I just don't want it to ever become that.
It won't.
Yeah. I'm probably speaking out of turn here, but
No,
I don't want to see that happen ever.
How
again.
dare you talk about Christian Phillips like that? Number 7. Long in development third-person shooter Devil's Third from Dead or Alive creator Tomonobu Itagaki is about 80% completed. Itagaki revealed that 2014 is the year Devil's Third will finally launch and that they're putting the finishing touches and polish on the product as we speak. This will be Valhalla Game Studios' very first release and is a PS3 and Xbox 360 game as opposed to being next-gen. We'll see if that's any good.
Sick all these current old gen games now, I guess. I want more current gen.
Yeah, I want current.
Give me like current gen.
They're going to be disappointed with number 8. Rumors are circulating that Ubisoft's very promising-looking game, The Division, may be delayed until 2015. The source told this to website Game Reactor, which claimed that while the game's engine works great, the game's development has barely started at all. Whether or not this is true remains to be seen. Ubisoft does not return our email for comment. What they're basically saying is that the engine is running and they got it working really well, but that the world is not built.
Right.
Like, now you have to make it. So
I'm fine. I give Ubisoft a lot of rope. Go take your time. Your games are making money. It's not like you need to get something out the door to like survive or whatever, right? Like take your time. I'm sure. Hopefully this Assassin's Creed will be good too. Whatever Assassin's Creed 5 is this year, Black Flag 2 or whatever that it is. But go ahead. Watch Dogs. I can wait. Like I'm probably in the minority, but I can wait for Watch Dogs and I've already forgotten Division as long as it takes.
It's not like these guys aren't making these things as fast as they can.
Right.
Please make them well. Sure, great. Thank you for having the courage to delay.
Right. Ubisoft's got to get its shit in order though with scheduling because this happened to Watch Dogs already too.
Well, yeah, they just announced way too early. You know what I mean? And it was a calculated move that worked. I think, at least in mindshare, right? Like Watch Dogs, we kept seeing the same E3 demo repackaged at every show, and people would still come on and be like, "Watch Dogs looks awesome. That's the next gen. I'm gonna buy the PlayStation 4 Watch Dogs bundle." You know what I mean? Like it worked where people were like totally into that game and then heartbroken that it didn't come out. But I haven't seen people saying, "Well, fuck Watch Dogs now. I'm not buying it." You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm excited that they're polishing. Number 9, just a little piece of news. Don't Starve, which launched this week on PlayStation 4, may also come to PS Vita. The game's developer, Clay, noted on Twitter that the studio is looking into bringing it to Vita. Don't Starve is free for PlayStation Plus subscribers in North America on PS4 upon launch.
That's today.
Yep.
That's right now.
Yep.
Whoa.
I'm a big fan of Don't Starve, at least not from the PC version. I never played the PC. It slipped by me. But I played it at the PlayStation 4 launch event, and we got a developer walkthrough and played a couple rounds with them. Totally excited to go home tonight and play it.
Cool.
Speaking of going home tonight, Greg Way, what else has come to the PlayStation Store this week and real stores, Mom and Grop? There's no gold farbs. There's no do.
It's a slow week. Nothing at retail. For PS4, Don't Starve, which again is free for PlayStation Plus. For PS3, Tiny Brains, which is already on PS4 and is not very good, comes out. And Twisted Land Shadowtown is also out on PS3. PSP gets a game this week.
What God Eater Burst is it this time?
It's not a Japanese game. Street Kicks Freestyle is a PSP game playable on PS Vita.
Okay, see yourself out.
Yeah. I don't understand.
Kicks play style?
Street Kicks KIX.
Oh, it's KIX.
Intercap.
Like the cereal.
Yes, like the cereal. Freestyle.
That's good cereal.
Yeah, well, Kicks was really good. I like Berry Kicks. Remember that?
I do remember
Berry Kicks.
It was kind of like Kicks with Captain Crunch mixed in it.
Yeah, it was dynamite.
It was pretty good.
Colin,
yes.
Blow the dust off of this. We got a topic of the week. This one comes from Codename Ninja. He didn't want us to use his real name, said we couldn't use his real name. Why, you might ask? Well, he says Beyond. I just got out of prison after a year and have no idea what is going on in the PlayStation world. Can you give me a rapid-fire update about everything PlayStation that happened in the last year? Also, what is going on with the Beyond crew? Also, I got a PlayStation Vita for a coming home gift. What games do I need to own? Also, P.S. What the fuck? No SOCOM? He's missed a lot, Colin.
Why were you in prison?
For a year.
It happens.
Yeah, bad things happen.
Yeah.
Apparently.
So what happened? They launched the PlayStation 4. It's been...
In the last year, PlayStation 4 was announced and then launched.
It's been a rousing success.
Yep.
Sony totally pantsed Microsoft at E3 in this awesome press conference you should go watch. But then Microsoft went back on everything, so then it's kind of a more even race.
The Last of Us came out.
Yeah, Last of Us came out. That was dynamite. That was a great one.
One of the great games of the generation.
And if you want to play good games for the next few months at least, you're probably going to do better just buying games for that Vita, I think.
Buy a PlayStation Plus, and then you get all that. You make sure you get on that right away.
Beyond Two Souls came out. Not good.
Yeah, didn't go over well. Very divisive on if you like it or you hate it.
Yeah, that game, man. No.
No thanks.
What else?
I watched the ending of it, by the way.
You didn't play it?
I played through to the... we've talked about this, haven't we? Where I played Beyond Two Souls, and I was like, I'm not having fun. I'm not having fun. I'm not having fun. A person asked me, where are you going? Where are you going, by the way? And I say, truth. And she goes, I don't know. And I said, done. The character in the game doesn't know where she's going. You just want me to wander around not having fun on Navajo Ranch?
Yeah,
See ya. That was done. Bye.
That was a bizarre game.
I will watch it because my whole thing was like, if I'm gonna play this game and my choices, me saying truth or lie or whatever, doesn't influence anything. Like, you know what I mean? Like, at least I always talk about Walking Dead being a coloring book, right? We're all getting to the same ending. We all have the same photo, but we shade it differently. But for real, with her answers, it was like, remember, there's a commentary up on IGN where me and Brian are playing, and we're like talking to this guy, and he's hitting on us, and we're like, fine, we'll just tell him the truth the whole way through. And I finally get to the big reveal, and I have a ghost following me around, by the way, at all times. They can do whatever I say. And the guy goes, oh, I love this song. Let's dance. And I'm like, are you fucking kidding me?
That's
like,
right.
we're going to dance no matter what. I just revealed to you a fucking ghost follows me around. And you're like, no big deal. Let's go dance.
Do you remember what it was like to be a teenager, Greg?
Yeah, I love this song.
Yeah.
Your mom's dead. No, I love this Weezer jam.
But you're absolutely right. I tried so hard to like that game. But maybe back to... he's probably wondering why we're talking about this, though. Maybe we should tell him a little bit more about what happened this year. I don't know.
No, that was fine. Now he knows Beyond Two Souls. But a lot of people love Beyond Two Souls.
Yeah, they do. All I'm saying is that I was really down on Beyond Two Souls for like a really long time. and then I played a demo that was really good, and I was like, oh, maybe it's not as bad as I thought. No, it was pretty bad.
Yeah.
I was just imagining this guy sitting there like, why are you talking about Beyond Two Souls? I just got out of prison.
We just stumbled upon this one landmine. We're stuck on it.
So big Vita games came out this year.
Guacamelee. Get Guacamelee.
Yeah, Guacamelee, Dragon's Crown, Killzone, Mercenary, Tearaway. Lots of good stuff.
If you went to prison for a year and you're just out now, I mean, you should probably still pick up Persona. You didn't beat Persona before you went away, and you just got your Vita, so get that.
Yeah, Ni no Kuni.
Oh, Ni no Kuni.
Also came out when you were...
Tomb Raider's a fun game. Get that.
Is the terminology in the clink?
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
When you were in the
clink, in the slammer.
When you got pinched.
Did you ride in the paddy wagon?
This poor guy. He's been through a living nightmare.
We really shouldn't make fun of him. I rode in the Disney World paddy wagon once. That was fun.
You told me that.
Yeah, that's right.
All right, that's it. I don't want to talk about 2013 anymore. It's 2014.
Hey,
we're moving forward.
Welcome back to the outside, though, dude.
Here's something we haven't touched on that I think could be interesting for us. CES, right? Before PlayStation Now this morning, the big news was the Steam box, and we got a couple questions about it. Matt Wilson writes in, Vault recently unveiled its collection of Steam boxes at CES, which, for someone who doesn't really play PC games, presented an exciting opportunity to try out some of the big titles through a console medium. To this end, I was wondering what you guys think about Steam's ability to attract traditional console gamers, and do you think Sony and Microsoft will have to alter their strategy, especially as far as exclusives go, to contend with the new console on the market?
Sony and Microsoft are already altering their strategies, and Steam isn't the only reason. Some of these same issues with Gaikai we were talking about earlier are connected. It's all connected. Is Steambox a legitimate market force? Yeah, it will be.
You think so?
Yeah, I do, but I don't think necessarily in the way that we think about it. We think about something as a console success.
Sure.
Valve doesn't care if all 14 of these pieces of hardware flop because they don't have a stake in it. What they have a stake is getting Steam out there and getting PC gaming expanded. And this, at the very least, is a fairly inexpensive way for them to show off their brand because they don't have.
Sure.
I mean, they spend a lot of money on this. But yeah, some of these, the Alienware one may do well. A couple of the others may do okay enough. They're PCs. SteamOS has a lot of potential because I have a PC connected to my living room television.
Yeah.
And Windows is a pain to use on a TV. Mac's not any better. An operating system that's ergonomic for television use has real potential, especially if it takes me right to my games. I do most of my gaming on PC. I think that Valve's going to come out of this smelling like a rose with more users than ever and make a lot of money.
I mean, my concern with it is I don't see it attracting a casual consumer because I mean, when it comes to PC gaming, I am a casual consumer, right? Like, I don't know what's going on my PC. I bought it from Nick Colin because I wanted to play SimCity, and I play other games on it, and I love that aspect of it. But I would have, if I didn't have this PC in my life already, I'd totally want to buy a PC so I could play awesome games like Paper Please and whatever. But it's all of a sudden grape shot. There's a million Steam boxes out there, and when we just start talking, well, it's just another PC. Well, then we're back to square one of me going, I don't understand PCs. What fucking motherboard do I need and video card and yet da 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 da. I thought when this all started, and I know for months now we've known this would not go this way, but when it started, I really hoped Valve was going to come out and be like, we have 3 Steam boxes. Here they are, medium, small, medium, large. There's obviously differences from that to the other. You decide what your price point is and go. Because people were already talking last night that the $600 one that's more powerful than a PlayStation 4 still isn't keeping up with what a real PC can do. And so it's just like, well, then what the fuck is it doing?
I think what's going on, and I don't want to speak for Valve, so I may sound like an idiot here.
Channel and Gabe.
But my suspicion is, it goes back to what we just heard about PlayStation's new initiative.
Sure.
Playing it across everything in every way. Most of these Steam boxes, I think, are not going to make it. Maybe all of them in this generation aren't going to make it. But Valve is going to continue to push this idea that you're going to play our stuff everywhere on everything.
Sure.
And I think that's more what it's about. I don't know if we're ever going to live in a platform agnostic world completely or not. And I'm not sure I want to see that because I love consoles. But we think in terms of which one should we pick from these 2 or 3. I think what Valve sees is that sooner or later it's just going to be a matter of what we're accessing it on.
Right.
It's going to be way beyond 2 or 3. Which of these fairly similar devices? Right now, PC specs are a big deal. That's going to be less and less true, I'm going to guess, as the years go forward.
That's exciting. I like that idea.
I could be wrong about that, but it's an idea.
I hope you're right on that one, Jerry.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of interesting things in between the lines with Steambox, and it doesn't speak to me either. I don't really care about PC games. Like, there are certain PC games that I'll absolutely, positively spend a lot of time with, like Civ 6 whenever that comes out. Like, God bless whenever that comes out. But the fact that Steam outsourced, per se, to a bunch of different companies that can do whatever they want with specifications says to me that they're not confident enough in the idea to spend their own money to do it. And so it's a reverse idea where they're going to get licensing fees and then have a proliferation of people, hopefully for them, playing Steam games and therefore making money on every game sold. But why not just lock it down and do it yourself? If you're so confident in the idea that you think this is going to work, then you can make money on the hardware and the software. And Steam might not be readily equipped to do something like this, or Valve might not be readily equipped to do something about this, but I feel like they kind of are. And that this might be a bridge too far for them as a market proposition, therefore going to all these other companies and saying, like, well, there's a possibility we can make some money. We'll give you our source code and let you kind of attach to Steam itself, but we're not going to make the boxes ourselves. That to me is fuzzy and indicates something. There's optics there.
I think there's 2 things. You raise a very good point, and again, just speculating. I'm not sure how much Valve cares if these things succeed on a hardware end. In the long run, or in the short run, pardon me, with what we have out there right now. I know that sounds kind of productive, but hardware's small potatoes for them. The margins on hardware are so slim. I mean, in our industry, hardware sold at a loss for a very long time. Valve knows this, and I think Valve's counting on other companies to take the losses to forward their brand. It's kind of, do you remember the 3DO of all things?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. Okay. The whole idea of the 3DO was that anybody could make one. Anybody could produce a 3DO. It wasn't produced by one company. It was produced by multiple hardware manufacturers. And everybody and their uncle lost money trying to build the things. The brand didn't work out in that case because you didn't have a software house with the kind of market penetration that Valve already has. And I think what they're looking at is they're saying, you know what? PS4s and Xbox Ones are fundamentally PCs now. More and more and more games are going to cross the divide into PC compatibility because it's so easy to port now.
Yeah.
And I think they're just sitting here going, we're just going to popularize the idea maybe more than we're going to popularize that. I don't know if they care the hardware sells all that much.
Well, sure. I mean, it's what we were talking about earlier with the Trojan horse thing, right? Even if well, first off, if you're a PC gamer right now, you already have Steam, you already love Steam. I don't even use my PC that much right now. I love Steam. I think Steam's great. I do the same thing everybody else does. Oh, that game looks great. Bye. Don't even think about it. Maybe I'll install it later. Maybe I'll forget I even bought it, right? But you do it and you find this is like what? This in a way is like trying just them sending out their disciples to preach the good word, right?
Yeah.
Let's say 1% of the global market share of people who are like, I don't have a PC, but I'll buy a Steam box, buys it, says this is garbage, but they still get this experience of like, there's great games here. Maybe I should just, buy a real gaming PC. Maybe I want to keep using Steam. I don't care about this box that sucks and I can't upgrade yet. Yeah.
Yeah, but I think the point you raised there, I think the point Colin raised, really smart. Who knows? It's awesome though.
Yeah. They're so mysterious to me. Like when everyone says like, why aren't they developing Half-Life 3? It's like, if I was them, I wouldn't do fucking anything. They already have like this robust company that doesn't have to do anything. They just have a service, and you play game and you buy games on it. I'd just be like, we're not making games anymore. Like why? Why would you why if you have like stock in that company, if you own part of that company, if you're into that company, like why take any risks at all? So that's like why what Jared's saying is actually really true. That they probably don't even care. Like when you make so much money and your shit's a cash cow as it is, and it's a cash cow on a PC, which no one understands, but millions, tens and tens of millions of people use this thing anyway.
Yeah.
Sounds good to me. I mean, that's why I'm not surprised that Half-Life 3 isn't, no one knows anything about it. It's like, why would we do that? Yeah.
True. Colin.
Yes.
Chris Brown writes in, he puts in parentheses, as always, not the woman beater. He says, Beyond.
Yeah.
Where's the Telltale Jericho game? Can you imagine I've never even thought about this.
That would be awesome.
Another point-and-click adventure from Telltale in the Jericho universe?
Turtle Tap?
Oh man, a Turtle Tab production. Playing as Skeet.
That would be awesome. That's not very nice. So I was reading something actually online. The creators of Jericho signed a deal with CBS. Like they're exclusively with CBS, like developing products
Still?
or whatever. Yeah.
Okay.
Like as of the summer.
Oh, okay.
And who knows? Jericho might come back. I'm not holding my breath. I'm not totally. I would never write the Jericho property coming back.
Yeah.
There's a small hardcore group of people that would make that come back.
Can you explain that whole thing to me? I've watched Jericho. I do not get the obsession.
It's a great show, and it didn't end. It didn't get to play out. I want to know how it all ends.
Yeah, it's one of my favorites.
I liked the nuts thing. That was awesome. But other than that, I thought it was kind of a tedious, mediocre melodrama.
You better stop talking right now. You're never coming back to the podcast. That's a John Turtletap production. I'll be damned if I'm going to hear you coming here and shit on Jericho.
In trouble here.
I went to WonderCon in like 2009, and the creators of Jericho created a new show. I don't remember what it was called. It was like a murder mystery show. It was only on for one season, and I remember people went. It was like an empty auditorium, like no one gave a shit, and all the questions were about Jericho.
Of course,
and they had they showed like an episode of the show, and everyone just sat there, and then we're like, all right, Jericho.
What is it, guys? What is it about it you love?
Well, I love the idea of there's just massive Jericho spoilers, by the way. That the entire show is about a corporation that manipulates domestic terrorists to destroy 23 cities in the United States so that they can take over the country. I mean, that's basically what it is. So it's like, and we never saw it play out completely.
No, yeah,
there's entire part, like all we know, Jennings and Rawle was the company's name, and all we know is that they're the ones that like moved everything to Cheyenne for the capital of the Associated States of America, and there's this whole, the United States still exists, we've never seen it, and Texas secedes, so there's like a three-way civil war, and we never see the Civil War play out. All we see is like the situation in the Associated States with Jennings and Rawle, whatever. And so I think that there was like a lot of intrigue there. It's awesome. Hawkins was like one of the great characters. I fucking love that character. Hawkins is awesome.
Such a great performance.
See, I want to like this so bad, but it just sounds to me like the single-player campaign for a Call of Duty game.
Yeah,
like, it was Homefront.
More like Homefront.
Homefront, yeah.
But yeah, it's you have to understand that I love that resonated with me in a very specific way. I'm surprised it resonated with Greg like it did, but it did. Well, it's because I love that. I love post-apocalyptic, like United States is falling apart kind of shit.
Like America with a K, the miniseries.
What was that? I don't even.
Do you remember? To the internet with you, my friend.
Yeah, I'll have to check that out.
It's so awful. It's so awful.
But yeah, I'm gonna definitely check that out. But yeah, I love like I always make Greg laugh. Like Red Dawn was like my fantasy when I was a kid. Like I fucking loved that shit. So like the idea of the United States just disintegrating, but like still kind of being like people still exist and it's still kind of going, but it's not or whatever. It's like one of the most fascinating fictional plot points that you can possibly have for me. So that Jericho took place entirely around that. Nuclear bombs were in it, which was awesome. It was like,
do you have a Wolverine's tattoo?
No, I should get a Wolverine.
That'd be awesome.
I yell
Wolverine
Wolverines
set.
every once in a while.
Yeah.
Greg and I watched the Red Dawn the
remake. That's how we rung in the new year.
Okay, no, Red Dawn I love, and you guys probably know this. I didn't know this till recently watching some commentary, but the character of Walter in The Big Lebowski is based on the director of Red Dawn.
Oh, John Milius?
I didn't know that. No, that's funny.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
That makes total sense. Yeah, I used to have long before you worked here. I used to have a picture of John Milius on my desk because I was like,
With him and that cigar.
kidding.
yeah, and it's
Okay.
him with a shotgun over his shoulder, smoking a cigar. And
That's
I used to just
rad.
have like and then he was involved with Homefront even though he really wasn't.
No, I'm with you guys on some Red Dawn. Totally, anytime.
Yeah. So, anyway, that's the perspective you need. I'm obsessed with Red Dawn, therefore Jericho makes sense.
Therefore, my obsession with Jericho makes complete sense. Our final question of the week is a slam dunk, easy one. It's from Joshua. My question is, I can connect my Vita and download games through my PS3, and I can do the second screen with my Vita on PlayStation 4, but I can't seem to download and connect my Vita through the PlayStation 4. Am I missing something here, or is this one of those not day one things? Exactly. You cannot do that in one of the weirdest moves. Here's this console that we're pushing remote play and we're pushing the Vita with, but you can't download your Vita games to it and content manage through it.
Yeah,
Bizarre.
it is very
really
weird.
bizarre.
It's weird that you can do it with PS3 so fluidly, but
Yeah.
not PS4.
And have they made announcements to that move? Do you know, Colin?
Nope. I suspect we will not hear any announcements about that until the firmware is revealed to have been alive in a few hours, and then they'll be like,
Exactly.
this is
Yeah, it'll be one of those normal 7 o'clock PlayStation blog posts about it, and then that'll be the end of
And
it.
I think that's mostly because they don't know if the shit's actually going to work until, they QA it and then put it up.
Sure.
So
There's so many tests to go through, and then by the time it's coming down the alleyway, you got to just talk about it.
they have a lot of shit they need to do with PS4, so it's a great, I still am so flabbergasted by how good it is, like when you're playing with it,
Right.
like just in the menus and stuff. But they have to fix some stuff.
Plenty of
so-
problems, yeah. I still can't accept name requests. I go in there, the whole thing just comes crashing down because I got too many, I guess. But it's a fun system. I'm waiting for more stuff. Like, don't starve tonight.
Yeah, you gonna play that?
I'm going to come home with a cheese pizza, sit down, play that.
Cheese
for-
pizza guy? Cheese pizza?
Pot cheese, the
Pot
pizza place.
pizza.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, I thought
Why
it
are
was
you
a cheese
going
pizza.
to
I was like,
cheese?
pot cheese, no.
I feel like pizza. So that's the end of that.
I
Is there
can't.
any-
I'm trying to stay away from pizza for a little while.
Yeah, no, you're doing your whole 2014 health kick over here.
Not a health kick because we're gonna go out and probably have a cheeseburger when we have lunch. Today.
Sure.
But yeah, I've been exercising in the morning.
See, I didn't want to dime you out on this. I made a reference earlier, and I stopped myself when we were talking about people.
Why? What do you?
Well, we're walking down the street, and people wouldn't beat us up because we're big guys. Me and
Yeah,
Jared are big
yeah.
guys, and I went, well, you and I are, and then I stopped myself. I was going to be like, because there's this vine on my Twitter of you up there on your Nordic track,
That's right, up there on
shirtless,
the
doing your
elliptical.
thing.
Greg and I were carrying this 200-something pound
Jesus
box
Christ.
up the stairs at our apartment and put a fucking huge hole in the wall in our hallway by leaning the box against.
We did the thing of like, all right, we'll turn it end over end, and we did it, and then Colin was on the other side, and it was coming down, and there wasn't we thought we were gonna. I couldn't see the wall, and it went right into the wall.
Just
Corner
right
of it,
through the
into
drywall?
Yep.
Just bang.
Big hole in there.
Crap.
They gotta call you back. We get that thing.
No, I'm gonna give him till tonight, and then if he doesn't hear from him, we gotta make another move.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, if you are a contractor who'd like to patch our wall, you can hit us up on Twitter. IGN is IGN. I'm Game Over Greggy. Colin is No Taxation. Jared Petty is Petty, Jared. All spelled out. It's a clever name. This has been Podcast Beyond, the internet's #1 PlayStation podcast. Thank you so much for joining us. Of course, remember, it's fun talking to you, but we only get to do it because IGN keeps the mics on. So go to IGN.com, read the articles, watch the videos, subscribe to Prime if you want some free stuff. They do games once in a while.
Users lose all sense of reality and enter another world. Remember, do not underestimate the power of PlayStation.